Good evening, how we doing? My name's Dan, I'm one of the musicians with Vote Common Good, and we're glad you're here. We're going to start out with a little music, and if you recognize this one, sing along, and it's a good one from the 60s, and it's eerily relevant today, so it goes like this. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there. He's telling me I've got to beware. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 10,000 people in the street, singing songs and carrying signs. They mostly say hooray for our side. Think it's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. The paranoia strikes deep into your life. It will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Sound familiar? Step out of line, the man come and take you away. Think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Really glad that you're here. My name is Doug Padgett with Vote Common Good, and we like to say we've been jump-starting these little meetings this election season since September 22nd. We've been traveling around, and this is our 27th event that we have done since September 22nd. And I got to tell you, we are glad to be here. Lancaster is one of our favorite places. We've been here on other times, on other seasons, because our group, Vote Common Good, travels the country. We do it under a lot of occasions. Just a year ago, we rode our bicycles from San Diego, California to St. Augustine, Florida. We rode them along the U.S.-Mexico border. Thank you for that. Along the U.S.-Mexico border, because we want to tell the story about what's really happening at the border. Making a documentary about it. We'd love for you to feel like you can watch that. It's already coming together on YouTube. And if you've ever wanted to be the final funder to get a documentary made, we've got a deal for you. So we do that kind of work, but we also do this political work where we travel around the country. We meet with great candidates, work with people all over. This tour has already brought us all the way down to Texas, and we were in Arkansas, and we were in Kansas, and we were over there in Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio. Of course, the great state of Pennsylvania. We're going to go to New Jersey in a couple of days, and then we're going to come back and go zipping back and forth between Ohio and Pennsylvania because we're asking faith voters. We want everybody to make the common good their voting criteria, but especially faith voters. especially evangelical faith voters. That's the tradition I come from. I'm an evangelical pastor from Minneapolis, Minnesota that helped start this group. I come from this little sliver of the evangelical world that's progressive evangelical. Some people don't know that exists or think it's an oxymoron. We've had people leave and they write on the internet, I saw a unicorn, a progressive evangelical. There are many. There's not enough, but there are many. And what we're doing in this work is talking with evangelicals, mainline people, Catholics, many people who feel like their faith commitment and their political identity came as a package deal. For some of them, they thought, I just wanted to follow Jesus from the church I went to, or I wanted to be a part of this social cause of Christianity in the world, and it came with a Republican voting identity. I mean, I certainly felt that way in my early days of Christianity. It was as if you went to Wendy's and you ordered the number 2 and it just came with the fries, and you said to yourself, I'm not going to eat the fries, but by the time you got home, oh, you ate the fries. We all eat the fries. Of course you eat the fries. And it feels like that just came as a part of the deal. But every once in a while you say, could I swap the fries for a salad? Could I swap them out for something a little more healthy this time? There's a lot of people who in these last 5 political cycles have said to themselves, maybe I need to swap my political identity and maintain my faith identity. So that's the work we do. We ask people of faith. You're going to hear some people tonight who are going to tell their own stories of their own faith and how it led them to voting for a Democrat for the first time, or to run as a Democrat for the first time. Because this is the kind of thing that, as it turns out, is happening all over the country. It's happening with people. We have a symbol, or a slogan rather, on the back of our trailer. Maybe you saw it out there. Wake up, speak up, and stand up. So that's what we're doing. We're here tonight because we want to join all of you in seeing the things you've seen since you woke up. Some people like to pick on people for being woke. But I don't know, I heard one time that it's morning in America, and if it's morning, it's time to wake up and get out of bed and not be sleepwalking around and not paying attention to what's going on. So we want to say to people, yeah, wake up and then speak up. And when it comes time to stand up, and when you walk into that voting booth, you're going to have a choice to make. That's what elections are about. This one or that one. But then when you leave that voting booth, we got to stop the this or that, the separations, the enemies, and the villain making. We've got to find a way to be we the people. So that's our work. That's what we do. You're going to meet Bob if you haven't met him already. You're going to meet some of us if you haven't met us already. We're glad to come together. Tomorrow we're going to be over there in Scranton. We're going to be talking with Congresswoman Susan Wild and the work that she's doing. Then we're going to be going over to talk with Tom Malinowski over in New Jersey. Then we're coming back here Friday night to do a training on the threat of Christian nationalism right up the street, right at the Mennonite Church, right at the street. Come see us on Friday night, 6:30. It's going to be less fun than this, but super important. And I will tell you, I never thought we would have to travel the country and not only remind people that make the good news their criteria on election day, or make the common good their criteria on election day, but also having to say to them that we have to be against insurrections and Christian nationalism. Look, as a faith leader, I want people to be motivated by their faith. I want people to live out their faith. I want people to be public about their faith. But I don't want lawmakers only using their faith to make the laws. The common good and thank you. There's an applause line. I stepped on it, but I appreciate your work. And this is a distinction some people have a hard time making. We're not talking about removing faith from the public sphere. We're talking about people understanding the difference between our common law for the common good and the faith that any of us hold. And if elected officials have a hard time separating those things out, we'd love to help them. So we do candidate training. And if candidates need help on that, we'd be glad to help them do it. My representative her name is Ilhan Omar from Minneapolis. I'm proud to vote for Ilhan Omar as a Muslim woman. Not because we share a faith, but because we share a common commitment to the common good. And I don't want her using her holy book as the only establishment for her laws that she's going to vote for, any more than I want people who hold to my same tradition to use that. That's what we do in this country. Everybody gets included. And we don't allow anyone to use anyone's faith to exclude anyone from anything. So we're super glad that you're here tonight. We're going to sing a little to you. We like to joke that these things they're part revival meetings. People often say to us, don't you feel like you're traveling the country only preaching to the choir? I'm like, look, I've been a pastor for 35 years. I know a lot of choir members. They could use a little help sometimes. Sometimes we just need to get our voices together. So we're glad to help you out on that. So we're going to sing. We're going to ask you to sing along. That way, you're going to hear some inspiration for what you've got to do, because 2 weeks from tonight, there's work to do in this country. And 15 days from tonight, we got to start bringing this country back together again, because then we're 2 years out from another election. There's just a lot of work to always do. So we're super glad that you're here. We travel I live in Minneapolis. Rob, you're going to hear us from Arkansas. Dan's from Michigan. Nick is actually from Michigan. Cole out there driving the bus is from Florida. Steph, who you're going to hear from a second here, is from Nashville, Tennessee. So we come from all of these places, and we're super glad to be here with you. And friends, this is Steph Mahan.
How we gonna build a bridge when all we do is build a wall? How can we claim we're not all the same when God made us all? How we gonna raise our babies? Yeah, how we gonna teach them grace? We preach about love on Sundays. Yeah, but Mondays it's back to hate. Here's another song about loving each other. Just another song about digging down deep. Take a good look at the heart of your brother. We all laugh. We all love. We all bleed. We all want a better tomorrow. Yeah, 'cause everybody's had enough of all of the hurt and the hatred. Yeah, we could sure use some love. Oh, but getting there, it won't be easy. There's so much work to be done. For better or worse, it's all up to us. But a change has got to come. So here's another song about loving each other. Just another song about digging down deep. Take a good look at the heart of your brother. We all laugh. We all love. We all bleed. But a change has got to come. Yeah. Yeah, so here's another song about love. Yeah, it's just another song about love.
Steph Mahan, everybody. Isn't she great? My name is Rob Ryerson. I'm a pastor from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And to kind of paraphrase the Apostle Paul a little bit, I grew up a Republican of the Republicans, if you know what the Apostle Paul said. So I grew up, oh goodness, I was a caller on the Rush Limbaugh show that got on the air 5 times. Yeah. I had a picture hanging on my wall of this, when I was a teenager, of this freshman congressman that nobody had really ever heard of, this guy from Georgia named Newt Gingrich. Had his picture hanging on my wall. When I was 15, I had a subscription to National Review. I went to teenage Republican school for summer camp. I was a dork. That's basically what I'm telling you, I think, is like, wow. I mean, so I tell you all to say, like, man, I grew up in it, like, deep. And that's a big reason why I woke up the day after the election in 2016 just really, really horrified. Horrified at what my party had done to the country, and frankly, what my tribe, the people I had been a part of, not just my political party, but my church too. I've been evangelical pastor for 25 years. So I woke up with really kind of two questions rattling around in my head. The first one was, what happened? What just happened? What happened to the Republican Party I had grown up in? What happened? How did this happen? And I think in a lot of ways, I think about it, the Republican Party really has changed and shifted over the years. Now, frankly, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong from the beginning, right? Like we don't have to go back and point out everything, but in so many ways, though, the Republican Party had shifted. It traded like values of integrity and character for winning elections at all costs. Felt like it had traded a concern for freedom and liberty for people and opportunity for everybody, traded that for, keeping power and keeping corporate interests, like those being the most important thing. Felt like it had traded, making sure that everybody has some opportunity. Everybody has the common good for just the richest among us having all of the control and influence. And I just had the sense, wow, things have really changed. But maybe even more significant than that is I had this sense that I've really changed a lot. And the more I began to see the world and wanting to live in a world that is more just and generous, the less I felt at home as a Republican. The more I kind of wanted to include everyone's stories and make sure that everyone gets a seat at the table and their voices get heard, the less I felt at home. Just I had changed a lot. And so all of this led to me kind of asking a second question, which was, what am I going to do? I had this sense that I had to do something. I had to do something. It wasn't enough for me to just complain about it on Facebook. I had to do something. So I came home from the office one day, and my wife held her phone out at me. She had listened to a podcast about this organization that was recruiting people to run for Congress. And she held her phone out at me, and she said, "You've got to listen to this. You've got to do this." I don't know, if you ever had that day where you get up and you have a normal day and you go through all the stuff that you do and you go to bed that night thinking, I might run for Congress. Bob, you've had that day. Two of us in the room have had that day. Yep. Had that day. So that led to me launching this long shot grassroots campaign for Congress in 2018 that didn't turn out successfully, but it led to a whole bunch of new opportunities, including me getting on the bus and traveling around the country. And now I joke that I'm a Republican who travels the country campaigning for Democrats, because that's what Donald Trump has done to us. I'm also a pastor who makes sense of life through the Bible and the biblical stories, the biblical narratives. And when I read the Bible and I kind of think through the stories, over and over and over again, there's this thread that runs through all of the stories, and it's this thread about how little things can make a big difference. There's different theories of change, right? Some people believe in their approach to how things change is the idea of wholesale change. We're going to change everything all at once. This is how my wife redecorates our house. It's just walls, the color of the walls are changing. This furniture is getting sold on Marketplace, and we're getting new furniture, and everything's shifting around. It's wholesale change, going to do it all at once. That's great, but that's really hard to pull off, right? Especially when it comes to politics. It feels like it's just these tiny little margins. Wholesale change feels impossible. So other people kind of adopt this approach of what's called incremental change. You've heard of that, right? Where we're going to take small steps in the right direction. We're going to try to go the right way, take small steps in the right direction, incremental change. And that's good, but the challenge with incremental change is that it takes so long. Yes, it does. It takes so long, and it often feels like we kind of lose our way in the process, and we never actually get where we want to go. So there's this other theory of change that has kind of captured my imagination. It's called acupunctural interventions. Acupunctural interventions. And the idea, yeah, that's a 50-cent phrase there for you. And the idea of an acupunctural intervention is like an acupuncture needle touches a nerve, that there's little things that we can do that can make a big difference. Like a little pinprick can change the way your whole body feels. There's little things that we can do that can make a big difference. Like 5 small stones out of a creek that fell a giant. Like a few loaves and fish feed a multitude. Like a baby changes the world. Acupunctural interventions, these small little things that can make a huge difference. So when people ask me, like, hey, what are you up to? What are you doing? My kids, my oldest kids are in college and have kind of moved on, so I talk to them a little bit now and then. Not as much as I should probably, but when I talk to them, they, hey, what are you up to, Dad? Or, I see friends. I say, what's going on? What are you up to? What are you doing? And my answer lately has been, I say the same thing no matter who asks me that question. I say, oh, I don't know, just, trying to save democracy. That's all. That's all. That's all. Just trying to save democracy. Do you feel like it's so big right now? The challenge is huge. The stakes are so high. There's so much on the line right now. And you think, what can I do? I mean, it's so big. It's so much. Like, what difference can I make? What can I do? Well, here's where acupunctural interventions come in. You never know what your little thing could do. You never know what that thing that is yours to do, you never know what kind of difference it might make. What nerve it might touch that changes everything. So donate to a campaign, frankly, to Bob's campaign. I'm sure all of you have already maxed out, though. So, and you say, but I'm not rich. I can't donate that much. Right. But that thing that you can do it. You knock on some doors, and you send some texts, and you make some phone calls. And you say, but I can't, get everywhere. No, but the neighborhood you can get to could make a huge difference. You make sure you go vote. You say, I've only got one vote. Yeah, but you've got to cast that vote. And frankly, you got to take 22 friends with you. You do that thing that you can do. Whatever it is that you can do, I want to encourage you tonight to do it. Because it will make such a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Like Rob, I grew up in that Republican, Midwest church-going world, and it was a really beautiful, loving place to grow up in. And then, as I became more aware of things, as the biblical narrative says, the scales began to fall from my eyes, and saw there was some pretty big things wrong with the whole situation. In 2016, I was just so sad and grieved and upset and angry that 81% of white evangelicals voted for a man that looked nothing like Jesus, that looked nothing like even the Republicans of old, where character mattered and integrity mattered. And so I wrote this song about it, put my story into it, and maybe you'll find yourself in it as well. It's called Hymn to the 81%. I grew up in your churches, Sunday morning and evening service, knelt in tears at the foot of the rugged cross. You taught me every life is sacred, feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I learned from you the highest law is love. And I believed you when you said that I should trust the words in red to guide my steps through a wicked world. I assumed you'd do the same, so imagine my dismay when I watched you lead the sheep straight to the wolves. You said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Oh, they started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies, and I looked to you to speak on their behalf. Oh, but all I heard was silence, or worse, you justified it, singing glory, hallelujah, raise the flag. So your fear it turned to hatred, but you baptized it with language torn from the pages of the good book. You weaponized religion, and you wonder why I'm leaving to find Jesus on the wrong side of your walls. You said to love the lost, well, I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, well, I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Come home, come home. You're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home. You're better than this. Oh, you taught me better than this. Come home, come home. Oh. Maybe I was too naive, or I just didn't want to see that there's always been a little poison in the well. Our churches sit on stolen land, a nation built by stolen hands. and we use the Bible to justify it all. Yeah, from slavery and segregation to mass incarceration. This is who we are, but not who we have to be. There's a lot of work to do to pull up the evil by the roots, but repentance has to come before there's peace. You said to love the lost, I'm trying to love you now. You said to speak the truth, that's why I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome, injustice roll down. 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 Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, his name is Dan Dietrich, if you're like, I got to find that song. We were traveling in 2020 on our bus. It was January of 2020, before the pandemic. Remember before the BC, before coronavirus time? Well, we were out, and Dan had just released that song and put it on to YouTube, and it had gotten about 100,000 views, and a bunch of people in our world started sending it around like, I think this song is like what you guys are all talking about. And so looked around and found some friends that knew Dan, and I remember calling him up, and I said, hey, Dan, what we're doing out on the road sounds like your song. Would you be interested in coming to join us? He was in Indiana at the time. He said, yeah, well, my church just fired me for that song, so yeah, I guess I've got some time. Maybe I can go with you. And now he's traveling around with us, because sometimes you just do your little thing. You just insert your little needle. Then you lose your job, or then you end up with a new group, or then you find a new group of people and you're traveling around together. So that's the work that we're up to. We're so glad you're part of it. Look, we just want you to know, you don't have to give up on people. People change. There's change going on all over. We promise you, we're hearing from people all the time. But sometimes you have to speak in a way that connects. There's a lot of people who are out talking about faith, hope, and love, and the only answer is there's only one place you can go for that, and that's to deep Christian nationalism, to insurrections, to election denying, and all the rest. And it's nonsense. Shouldn't be that way. And there's some people, we think there's 5, 10, 15% in all those groups that are willing to step away, and they need a little help. We like to say, look, we're not out trying to change people's minds on these issues. If the current Republican Party doesn't change your mind, there's nothing we can do. They're like a self-cleaning oven. They do all the work for you. We are out here to talk to the people whose minds have started to shift. Sometimes it's really quiet. Sometimes it's a shift in their hearts. Sometimes they've only said it to a person or two. And when they walk in that voting booth, that's between them and their ballot. And they're going to do something that they don't have to explain to anybody else and aren't going to tell anybody. So if you've got a friend, if you've got a family member, you don't give up on them. You invite them. You say, I'd like to invite you to take this step the next time. It really means a lot. And look, we truly believe, I believe this as a person, we believe it as an organization. Every person is a beloved child of God. Every person is the light of the world and the salt of the earth. Lloyd Smucker is the beloved child of God, the light of the world, the salt of the earth. But not every light of the world should be the representative of this great county in the United States House of Representatives. So we're going to ask him to take his dim little light and move it along, because if you don't have a bright enough light to know how to certify an election, you've got no business running for elections. So we're not trying to make this personal about him. This is about what's the common good for all of us, but we do want to make it personal for you and personal for the other voters who have to walk in, because they need to know that they have some choices to make. Now, some people are saying there's going to be a red wave on Election Day. To me, that sounds more like a Red Dawn, if you know that old movie from the 80s. I'm not sure there's going to be a red wave. You know what I think is going to happen? I think there's going to be a clear blue morning. That's what I think is going to happen. Thank you. I think at the end of that, we're going to have a clear blue morning. And Steph has just joined our tour. She was with us in 2020, hasn't been with us for our last 27 events, but she's with us tonight. And we said, Steph, there's this real call that we need to see a clear blue morning, day after Election Day. And so we're going to sing along and encourage you with a little clear blue morning. And then you're going to hear from somebody that's going to help make that blue dawn happen. Bob's going to come.
Doug asked me to do this about 2 days ago. Yeah. And Dan was nice enough to help me. I know I should have my glasses on, but I'm too vain to wear them up here, so. It's been a long, dark night. And I've been thinking about the morning. It's been a long, hard fight. And I've been seeing a new day coming. I've been looking for the sunshine. I ain't seen it in so long. Everything's gonna be just fine. Yeah, everything is gonna be okay. It's been so wrong. I can't see it anymore. I can't see I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything is gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. Okay, this is where I'm gonna get you guys to sing with me. It's really easy. It's just I see the light of a clear blue morning, okay? A clear blue morning. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything is gonna be right. It's gonna be okay. One more. Everything is gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, everything is gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, everything is gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay.
So I mentioned, everybody, we've got this thing that you need to do. Well, maybe that thing is run for office. Yeah? Yeah. So at least one of you have answered that call. Maybe the rest of you will get you next time around. Help me welcome Bob Hollister, next congressman from PA 11.
So I don't claim to be a preacher, so this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try and string a few thoughts together. I really like some of the things that I'm hearing here, and one of them we just heard was when I was school superintendent, and we had a rough day with a kid, and they happened a lot. My rule was, tomorrow's another day. Whatever that kid did to you, said to you, or did that day. Tomorrow was another day. And so I do have to remind us all, win or lose, I'm going to call Mr. Smucker, win or lose, and offer my help to him, win or lose. I think that's important. If I lose, I will suggest ways that he can be a better congressman to serve this area. If I win, I will seek his help in making me a better congressman, because we have to do that. We have to get back to helping one another. We have to get back to that place where we can agree on 6 or 7 things and disagree on 3 or 4 and still have coffee together, still play cards together, still go play golf, whatever that is. We still need to do that together. I love these words. In many ways, faith, hope, and love are the words that probably launched this campaign for me. I launched it out of faith that I could make a difference, that I could be successful, out of hope for all of us. I have hope. I still believe in America. I still believe in what we aspire to be. We're not there yet, but I still believe in what we aspire to be. So we've got to have hope. And love for neighbor. You know, I will say this, one thing I've learned, and I do need to be critical of the current Republican Party. You know, they talk a lot, the Republicans, you'll hear them say, we got to make a bigger tent. We got to make a bigger tent. We got to include more people. Well, we Democrats are the tent, the full tent. We already are the tent. I have learned since joining the team about 1.5 years ago that we include everybody. We love everybody. Everyone is already in our tent. And so let's keep that in mind. As far as how I got here, and some of you know this, lifelong Republican, lifelong Roman Catholic, raised here in the county. I was dumbfounded when Donald Trump got elected president in 2016. At that point, I was probably a person without a party. I was adrift. And then on January 7th, when my congressman voted against certifying the election, I was no longer a Republican. That was the day for me. You talk about those moments. That was my moment. And I could not believe it. I was aghast. I was abhorred. And as that day unfolded and things in my school district stayed pretty stable because I was worried about that, I really had a moment when I said, somebody's got to do something. And I called a few friends, and they all pointed their fingers back at me. I was like, oh, it's me who's got to do something. And so in January of this current year, I retired as a school superintendent after 13.5 years and have been on a campaign ever since. And I'm excited to think about representing the folks of Lancaster and York counties, but also of the country. You know, we got to remember the position is not just for this area, it's for the whole country. And that's what I hope to serve. And it goes back to this message. I think this country, this could be the moniker for America. Are we not? This moves mountains. It has moved mountains. It has brought down walls. Faith, hope, and love. And so that's the message I think we need to keep. I love it. I heard someone say, and I'll finish with this thought. We were lining up for the Millersville Parade. Noah, my parade guy back there, Noah, and I have walked a lot of miles together, literally. But I heard a young person say, you know, I don't like everything about this party, and I don't like everything about the Democratic Party. And I was just listening, and because I'm listening and learning as I go. And he said, but we got to work in the world we have today to build the world we want in the future. And I thought, boy, isn't that really smart from a young person? We got to work in the world we have today to build the world we want in the future. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right here. So many of you here have helped me in so many ways. I want to just publicly thank those folks who've put in hours and hours and hours of time supporting this campaign. Again, thank you. There's a lot of, one last thought, there's a lot of counseling going on for former Republicans, it seems, in this crowd. So this is like a little therapy group, so this is great. So thanks a lot, and I appreciate your support. And as he said, tell friends, tell friends, tell friends. Thank you very much.
The original Declaration of Independence rests within a frame made of pure titanium that's coated with gold. The glass enclosing it is tempered, laminated, and calibrated to a thickness of 3/8 of an inch in order to block out harmful UV light. And 70 bolts around the frame apply 300 pounds of pressure per linear inch, sealing it in. Inside the frame, parchment made from 1776, sits atop a perforated aluminum platform so that moisture can reach the back side of it in order to keep it supple. All the while, inert argon kept at approximately 40% humidity and 60 degrees Fahrenheit staves off the oxidation process. And most grandiose of all, the case housing the Declaration, along with the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, collectively known as the Charters of Freedom, are lowered beneath the ground every night into a custom-built vault made to withstand a nuclear blast. But despite these advances for preservation and security of parchment and ink, the ability to detect problems is growing faster than the capability to solve them. And most importantly, figuring out what to do if a problem arises. And so it is with us, friends. Though our concern reside not with the preservation and security of parchment and ink, nearly 2.5 centuries old, but with preserving within the hearts and minds of the people a readiness to re-examine, reimagine, and reinterpret the guarantees of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when they become crooked, narrow, and hell-bent on making America great in the name of me, the people, instead of we, the people. What then shall we do, you might ask? I'd like to suggest scripture, American scripture. On November 19, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln would use only 272 words for delivering his Gettysburg Address. The speech, lasting just 2 minutes long, would indeed enter the lexicon of American scripture as one of the most powerful and concise statements of freedom our nation has ever heard. And drawing upon his unwavering quest for pursuing the true spirit of our nation's founding creed, Lincoln would posit a new vision of America amidst the rancor and chaos of a civil war. So standing thus, on the blood-stained fields of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Lincoln would stand up on a wooden platform in front of the multitudes and say, 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. Lincoln would continue on, but in a larger sense, it is for us to be here dedicated to this work, this unfinished work thus far so nobly advanced. It is for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. Lincoln's invitation to participate in the unfinished work of equality would indeed usher in a new birth of freedom, rooted in the sentiment that American exceptionalism, thenceforward and forever, shall include those pushed to the very margins of society, the outcasts. And that to truly make and keep America great, this exceptionalism is incumbent upon each and every citizen patriot of this nation, no matter their race, color, national origin, and later to include sex, marital status, or disability. Or in other words, love your neighbor as yourself. In the hands of Lincoln, the Declaration became a living document, willing and able to inspire faith, hope, and love of country for the common good, whilst confronting conspiracy, secession, insurrection, and a rebellion against the peace and sanctity of the Union of the United States government. Friends, are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Ultimately, though, The authority for preserving the principles of the Declaration rests not just in the hands of presidents and politicians, but we, the people. Poets, prophets, preachers, and you. Yes, you, sir. And you, ma'am. And you, and you, and yes, you. Which brings me back to where I began, with parchment and ink, what to do, and this Sharpie. There were 56 signers willing to sign their name to the Declaration of Independence, an act of treason against the British Crown. Chief among them were Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and the like. The first, however, was John Hancock, with his signature best remembered for being the largest and most flamboyant over all the others. Now, anecdotes from American folklore suggest that Hancock wrote in such a manner as to make his defiance against King George III more than obvious to the naked eye and to perhaps those needing spectacles. But no historical document remains as to why he wrote in such a manner. But what we do know is this: someone had to go first and pave the way for the others. Someone had to go first and pave the way for the others. Friends, one way we share in the work of Vote Common Good is by inviting you to sign on with us. As you may have noticed, right outside we have a rather larger-than-life orange bus that says, "Faith, hope, and love, not insurrections and Christian nationalism." So tonight, when you make that declaration, when you make a commitment to confronting Christian nationalism, we invite you to sign with this Sharpie your name, city, and state. Because when you do so, we will take your story with us as we travel throughout the entire Midwest and along the Eastern Coast. And moreover, we will share in the work done here tonight. So afterwards, please meet me at the back of the room and we will get your signature on the bus. So finally, allow me to leave you with these closing words from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Though the world will little note nor long remember what we say here, may our government of the people, by the people, and for the people never perish from the earth. Thank you.
That's Nick Brock. We're serious about wanting you on the bus with us. In fact, we're so serious that we, at one of our events 2 years ago in Michigan, said, hey, we want to take you with us. We want to put you on the bus. Nick said, really? You'll take people with you? Worked out his schedule and then started traveling with us, and now he's back with us again. So maybe you just want to sign on the bus, or maybe you want to climb on the bus. I mean, we started, there was just one of us, and then we started ripping up people around. Like, no, there are a whole lot of us, and we have a whole team of people that do this. And so we really would like to take you with us. But more importantly, I want to remind you, civic life, it's not a spectator sport. It's a participation sport. You've been watching tonight. We hope you feel encouraged. Hope you go home and watch the debate, because you got to vote up in this election. You can't just let one person win at this level. You got to also vote at the Senate level. You also got to vote at the governor's level, because we can't have a Wizard of Oz experience in this country. We can't have crazy business going on. We've got to turn out and vote, because it's participation time. So we're really glad that you're here. We want you to sign on that bus. If you've wondered, how do you all pay for all of this? Well, if you listen to the Proud Boys, they screamed at us in Florida, who paid for the bus, and told us it was George Soros that paid for the bus. George Soros didn't pay for our bus. But if you know George Soros, please put us in touch, because we'll take money from anybody to pay for our bus. We'd be glad to have that. Come some viewers like you, pay for the bus, travel around. So if you want to help fund what we do, great. Max out on your contributions, or and then if you want to chip in, we'll take money from you if you want to chip in. We take cash back there. We take checks. We take credit cards. We take Bitcoin. Or as I like to joke with the younger people, just bring the marijuana straight to the table, because I don't know what else people use for Bitcoin. But anyway, We'd love to have you feel like you're in on this with us. But if you don't want to chip in, that's fine. Maybe just want to take a sign. Because I'll tell you what happens. You take a Hollister for Congress sign, and you put it out in your yard with a faith, hope, and love sign, and you got some confused neighbors that all of a sudden are saying, oh, I don't know what's happening. That is a great combo deal. I promise you people are going to ask you a question. A woman came up to us one time over here. We were over in Pittsburgh 2 years ago, and boy, she was yelling at us about all kinds of things, and it was about abortion, and she was screaming and yelling, and all this kind of stuff. And then she said, "But I do want one of those signs." And I said, "Well, those are a $20 contribution." She goes, went to her car, got $20, came back and gave us $20, and said, "I'm putting that sign in my yard." I don't know if she wants to put a faith, not fear, a hope, not hate, a love, not lies sign in her yard. We're all for it. People feel drawn to that message, and then they find out that a Democratic candidate's drawn to that message, and something sort of happens. So we'd encourage you to do that. If you want to make a donation, we'd love it. It helps us get along. It really does move us down the road. We like to say we want you in the tank with us because there's 4 things that get us around the country. Faith, hope, and love, of course. And you know the 4th. Diesel. Diesel gets us around the country. So get in the tank with us. Make a donation in the back, that kind of thing. Hey, we're going to be up the road, like I said, on Friday night. We're going to be up there doing a whole training, 2-hour training on the threat of Christian nationalism, what it is, how you can understand it, how you can engage in it. If that's interesting to you or other people, come and join us on Friday night, 6:30 p.m. at the Mennonite Church, just up the road, right here on Orange Street, at the Mennonite Community Church. If you don't yet know the Mennonites, the Community Mennonite Church, they're very humble people. They don't tend to brag or promote a lot, but fantastic. So we were with the Episcopalians the other night. We were with the Presbyterians. We're at an evangelical church over in Ohio, and now we're with the Mennonites. We hang around with them all, and everybody's worried about Christian nationalism, so we'd love to have that happen. We've recorded this tonight, and we're going to be live streaming it later, so if you've got some friends that you were like, man, I wish somebody had... I wish I'd known this. I would have brought somebody. Share it with them. Please do that. Because we know that there's people just looking for others who want to join them. So we're super glad that you're here with us. Anybody else got an announcement that you need to make? Something good for the order of all of us? Anything like that? Steph and Dan are going to come back up. They're going to just sing us out of here with a little Clear Blue Morning. But anybody else have anything you need to say? Oh, you're sure welcome. Sure welcome. Glad to have you. Hey, we're going to be over. Check our website. We are going to be in Scranton tomorrow, and then we're going to be over in New Jersey, and then we're coming back here, and we're going to Ohio. So you might know some people in those places, and you'd want them to turn out. So take a look and keep up with us, and give us your email in the back. We promise we're not going to email you, 2 times a week or anything. We're not like that. We email 4 times a week, so we're going to act like we're friends, so we're not going to just leave you with 2. We're going to stay in touch. So give us your email address back there. We'll be in touch. We're going to sing a little Clear Blue Morning, and then we're going to see you down the road.
You know the word by now. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. And everything's gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. Be right. What's it gonna be? It's gonna be okay. I love you guys. Thank you so much.